All right, football fans, what is going on? Today we're back, and you already know why you're here. Week 14, it is the Thursday Night Football predictions. It is currently, for me, Thursday, 4:28 p.m. Central Standard Time. The reason this video is more important is you already know you can see the whole background instead of just kind of filming this area. And yes, it's a little different actually. If you've noticed since the last video 2 weeks ago, my room kind of rearranged a little bit. This here, this brown dresser, it was over there in that corner, and then I moved this, because it was in front of a vent, so I had to move it, and then so I moved this one across the room. The white dresser was a little over toward the camera direction, but on the wall. So there were two dressers against that wall. Now there's only one, and then my bed moved over 6 inches or so. So now I'm actually basically in the middle of the US Bank Stadium picture, because I used to not be. This was over here, so this spot, so I would be lined up about right here, if this would have been where it was. But now we've got a little rearrangement, so now it looks a bit different, but that is totally alright. As you know, we don't have the set today. Why, you may ask, do we not have the helmets out? I'll give you my completely honest answer, and that is that I really didn't feel like going to get them. So, and it would just be better if you guys can see this for today's video. Obviously, you already know why we're here. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, and tonight the Minnesota Vikings face the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are currently 2 hours and 55 minutes. 2 hours and 55 minutes away from kickoff. It's at 7:20. Right now it is 4:30 exactly, as it says on my computer. Here we go, everybody. So, this is not going to be quite as high quality as in like the content. I didn't have a lot of time this week to write up the bye week team notes, so it's just kind of rough. So it's just kind of some random stuff, because I didn't really have time, so we're just going to kind of go with it though. So here we go, everybody. Let's begin with the teams on the bye week. Let's also go to the NFL playoff picture. I believe there are a few different teams this weekend. I'll talk more about it in the regular video, assuming that I have one, but no guarantees. That there will be a video on Saturday or whatever. If I make one of those, there are a few. The Packers, Cardinals, and Bucks, I believe, are the three teams. They can clinch a playoff spot on Sunday or Monday, because the Rams and Cardinals play Monday. But on Sunday, this weekend, three teams can already clinch. So you already know what we're here for. Let's begin with the teams on the bye. We have the Miami Dolphins set to begin with. The Dolphins are 13th in the AFC. They're holding a record of 6-7. They have won, I believe, 6 games in a row, or 6 out of the past 7. I don't remember. They are 6-7. They started the year 1-6, maybe 1-7. So the Dolphins have been doing really good recently. The Miami Dolphins are coming off of a win, obviously, but I don't know who it was against, so Google is the answer. The Dolphins are coming off of a win over the New York Giants. Then, next, so Dolphins, I have a really short report on it because I didn't have a lot of time to make it. Dolphins wide receiver Devontae Parker has been taken, and he has been activated from the IR. If you don't know what that means that he's now open to a 3-week practice window, where either at the end of between now and the end of the 3 weeks, they either activate him off the injury reserve, as in they take him off the list and he's back to being a full roster spot, or he's out for the season. So between now and then, I don't know when he'll be returning to games, but obviously he will be back this season because he's on the practice window. Then we have got wide receiver Will Fuller for the Dolphins. He is still not practicing, which means he is doubtful, likely to play in Week 15. He has not played in a while. If he does not get back into practice, There's a very slim shot that he will be playing, so it does not appear as though he will be back for Week 15 against the Jets. So that is my short report on the Dolphins, which is just really quick. They've been doing good recently, and hey, they're still 13th in the AFC, but they've been on a hot streak recently. I like it. Dolphins 13th. Yeah, they could certainly boost up in the race. So it's going to be interesting. We've got the Indianapolis Colts. They are 9th in the AFC, holding on to a record of 7-6. The Colts have also won quite a few games in a row after having, as well, a not good start to the year. The Colts are coming off of a win, but I do not remember who against. It was against the Texans. They won 31-0. The Patriots play... Oh, shoot, I can't make my video Saturday. We have some games on Saturday already. I forgot Saturday afternoon and Saturday night there are games. Week 15 and Week 16. Or maybe just Week 15, I don't know. So, that kind of nixed my plans. So if there's going to be a video, it's going to be tomorrow. Yes. Because I forgot the Colts and Patriots play on Saturday night. So I will not be able to do it on Saturday because there will already be games. And I will not make 3 videos for the week. That's too much. It's already enough doing 2. And I don't even always do 2. I didn't even do any videos last week just because I didn't have time to. So for the Colts, wide receiver Paris Campbell is still out. He underwent foot surgery after Week 6. We really don't know when he will be returning. And that is really all I have reported about them. Our third team out of 4 on the bye is the New England Patriots. The Patriots are the number 1 seed in the AFC. The Patriots are coming off of a win Monday night against the Buffalo Bills. It was good. Well, not a good game if you think about it. Because the Patriots, Mac Jones, attempted a whole 3 passes the whole game because of how windy it was. Patriots running back Damian Harris left the game against the Bills. It is a possibility that he could be returning Week 15 for Saturday night against the Colts. Then, last but not least, we have got our final team, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are 8th in the AFC. They're holding on to a record of 6 wins and 7 losses. I don't have much of a report on the Eagles because I didn't have time to. Jalen Hurts was hurt. He did not start this week. Minshew Mania. The Gardner Minshew was the starter for Week 13. Possibility that Jalen Hurts will return. At this point, I would look at him as questionable going into this game for Jalen Hurts returning. So, there you go. Now, we are moving on. There might have been more injuries on the Eagles. Sorry if there are. Then I just didn't go through them. Miles Sanders, he's on their depth chart is injured. But I thought he was hurt earlier in the year, but I think he should be fine, so. Oh, yeah. He re-injured his ankle. I think he should be fine, though. So he'll be good. As far as I know. Don't quote me on that, please. Thank you. Now it is on to our game, baby. Minnesota Vikings at home tonight against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Minnesota will be wearing their Color Rush jerseys. I don't like them that much, but a lot of people do, and I'm okay with it. That if you don't know what their Color Rush is, purple tops just like this, purple pants just like their road uniforms, except instead of just purple and purple, they have gold numbers. Instead of white, all this white is gold. On the shoulders, I know you can't see it. This is all gold. This is gold. So instead of looking like this, it's all just gold and purple. No white on the jersey. Personally, I don't like them that much. I just think I think there's got to be white somewhere in there. It just looks weird without it. I'm not a big fan of them. What I do like is when they wear purple on purple, like what they wore in New Orleans last year. And a couple years ago, they did too for the playoff game. When they wear purple, just like the regular home unis, and then purple road pants, and they wear those. I think that looks nice. But it's not better than purple with white pants. Favorite uniform combo for me is purple or white Vikings tops, like my Jefferson jersey. If you don't know what it is, check it out in a different video because I'm not going to get it out. The white jerseys with purple pants is my favorite combo. I don't like white on white. When the Vikings do that, I despise of it. I don't think it looks good. But I do like when they have purple pants and a white jersey. That I like. It's my favorite combo. So, yep, Vikings going color rush tonight. Crazy injury news all around the Minnesota Vikings. But we're going to start, like always, with the road team. Beginning with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, everybody, are currently sitting at 8th in the AFC. They are holding a record of 6 wins, 5 losses, and 1 tie. The Pittsburgh Steelers are coming off of a win by a score of 20-19 against the Baltimore Ravens this past Sunday. It was a good game, came down to the wire. They almost lost, but they won. Good game. Let's go to the report. Pittsburgh Steelers will be without corner Joe Hayden, linebacker Robert Spillane, defensive end Isaiah Buggs. What a lit name, Buggs. And left guard BJ Finney. Those 4 players will be out for this game. It will be important with Joe Hayden out because that's one of their top corners, and maybe with him out, that creates Justin Jefferson yum-yum time, which I would love to see. The reason Justin Jefferson yum-yum time could happen is because the Minnesota Vikings will be without the man on my jersey. But I'm still wearing this jersey because it's purple. I have to go with the same color the team wears. If they wear white jerseys, I wear white no matter the player, even though it's Justin Jefferson jersey, so why wouldn't I wear it? And when they're at home or anytime they wear purple on the road, I have to wear my purple jersey. It doesn't matter if Adam Thielen's not playing tonight. I just have to wear the jersey because I have to go along with the team because I'm one with the team. You already know. Vikings will be without Adam Thielen tonight. It was a high ankle sprain. Sunday against the Lions, on the first drive of the game, I believe, he had a high ankle sprain. I'll give my analysis of the Vikings in a minute. I'll go through their report, and then I'll get to analysis on the team. Yeah, so high ankle sprain. He is out for this game tonight, which is going to be tough to see, but I certainly trust Justin Jefferson in this role. And KJ Osborne, he's a good receiver, so I don't see any problem with KJ Osborne being able to step into this role. And even Tyler Conklin as a tight end, he'll see increased work, and he does a plenty fine job. Then the Vikings will also be without left tackle Christian Darrisaw. He was also out last week. One of my frustrations last week was their offensive line of the Vikings. I feel like it's not because some of it's because of the actual play of the line, but the actual planning of the line, they mix so many things around, it just got way too complicated. And I think that's part of the reason it didn't work. They can't do things like that. So what happened was, for the Minnesota Vikings, how did it all go? Because Christian Darrisaw was out, they chose to put their regular right guard, Oli Udoh, they moved him to left tackle. Then they took the center, which was Mason Cole, moved him to right guard, and then at center they put in Garrett Bradbury, who used to be the center, but then he kind of got benched. It got way too confusing. It was unnecessary. I do not like Oli Udoh. I will just tell you that. Alisimaka Udoh. I don't like him. He's not good. He should get benched from this team. They could have made it way simpler by keeping the simple offensive line they had going. All they had to do was, instead of Darrisaw, because he's hurt and out, all they had to do was put in the backup left tackle, Rashad Hill. Even though he's not that great of a player either, it's better than fixing and moving the whole line. That was one of my frustrations this week. I feel like they tried fixing it too much. If they would have put Rashad Hill in, even though I do not like Rashad Hill, they don't need to reshuffle the whole offensive line. Like, really? So that was one of my frustrations with the team. Back to the injury report, and then I'll get to my frustrations with the team, because I have a lot of frustrations with this team. Questionable in this game is running back Dalvin Cook. Yes, somehow he's questionable. This morning it was reported that Dalvin Cook is trending towards playing, and then later it was reported that he's going to be a game-time decision. So, I really don't know at this point. 35 minutes ago, Let's see it. Oh, here we go. Adam Schefter tweeted 35 minutes ago, Vikings running back Dalvin Cook will play tonight versus the Steelers with a shoulder harness, just like he did January 2020 against the New Orleans Saints in the wild card round, when he had 31 touches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. With the shoulder harness, expectations are that Cook remains with his regular workload. End quote. So, yep, you heard it right there from me, everybody. Dalvin Cook is reported, barring any pregame setbacks that are emergency. Dalvin Cook will be playing tonight. Unbelievable. Week 12 against the 49ers, he suffered I honestly don't know what he suffered, because people said it was a torn labrum, and then Mike Zimmer nixed that, so then it wasn't a torn labrum, and I really don't know what it was. Or separated shoulder, sprained shoulder. I'm honestly not sure what his injury was. So the assumption was that he's going to be out for obviously the rest of the 49ers game, that he's going to be out for the Lions game last week. He's going to be out this week because now, after tonight, the Vikings don't play Week 15 until Monday night. So they have 11 days, I believe, if I do my math right. They have 11 days between now and then. So the assumption was that Dalvin Cook will be ready for the Week 15 game because that'll give him a long resting period. Same with Adam Thielen. They're hoping that hopefully, with this extended break, Thielen should be able to go against the Bears next Monday night. But interesting that Dalvin Cook is playing. I was not expecting it. Alexander Mattison does just as fine of a job in the backup spot. And I'm proud because Alexander Mattison posted a TikTok yesterday and I commented and he commented back. So I love you, Alexander Mattison. You're so cool. But yeah. So now... Oh, I didn't finish the injury report. So that's Dalvin Cook. He is set to play tonight, somehow. Also questionable in this game, linebacker Blake Lynch. He was a sudden show up on the injury report. He's done a pretty good job as a linebacker, but Nick Vigil has been doing also a solid job, and Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks will both be returning after being out last week. Barr still isn't that good, but, I won't say it. Kendricks is good. Cam Bynum is also questionable for this game. Hopefully he will be making it back to play. He was out last week too. Cam Bynum is behind Harrison Smith and Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods has had a pretty up-down year. Harrison Smith, pretty good just as always. But good things happen when Cam is on the field. Same with Blake Lynch. So that's the injury report for you, everybody. Now we are on to the standings report. Sorry, I know this is going to be a long video than most Thursday night videos, but anytime I talk about my team, I have so much more to say, and I have a lot more to complain about, and I always complain about Mike Zimmer, and a lot of things. So, yes. Alright, on to the playoff picture. The Steelers I already read off. The Minnesota Vikings are 9th in the NFC. They have a record of 5 wins and 7 losses. Remember this. The Viking owners, Mark Wilf, Ziggy Wilf, Leonard Wilf, those are the owners of the team. They said at the beginning of this year, at the beginning of the year, in the off season, they were gonna fire Mike Zimmer after 2019, but then they chose to keep him and they gave him an extension. They told him this year he will be fired if this team does not make noise in the postseason. And right now the Vikings are sitting at 5-7. Tonight a loss would put them at 5-8. And basically, all postseason hopes would be out the window. So that means Vikings fans, for me, in my locker at school, I have a paper with 2 memes of Mike Zimmer, and it says Fire Mike Zimmer on it. That's been in my locker now for 10 weeks. And finally, after 2.5 months of hoping he would get fired, this could be the week it happens. If the Vikings drop a deuce on national television tonight, Mike Zimmer could be gone. It's crazy for me to think about. Tonight could be the final game of Mike Zimmer's Vikings career. Which is kind of crazy to think. But, it's true. I don't like Mike Zimmer. His decisions are awful. Personally, for me, the Vikings lost on Sunday to the Detroit Lions. For me, that was the worst coaching game I've seen of Mike Zimmer's career. For me. I know people can share their opinions, and I respect that. But to me, there were so many mistakes that I noticed during the game that before what happened, I basically just thought, what are you doing? On the top of my head, I can think of 5 mistakes. Off the top of my head. Mistake number 1, obviously the team has to get in that. Well, this isn't one of the mistakes I was thinking of, so there's really going to be more. I was thinking the team has to get in the end zone. The first 2 drives of the game, the Vikings, all they could do was kick a field goal. It's not going to win you games. You can't kick field goals. You got to get touchdowns. And I don't know if it's up to the play calling or what's the problem with it, but you're not going to win games with field goals, or even if it's about taking risks. But there was a risk taken later in the game that I'm going to talk about that was an awful risk. It was a high risk with absolutely no reward, so it was an awful choice. So, beginning of the game, big problem, putting points on the board, being able to finish drives. Then, so they were up 6-0. Then they went on a defensive meltdown. The Vikings went on a meltdown. Then all of a sudden at halftime, then the Vikings were up 6-0. Then the Lions scored a touchdown to TJ Hawkinson, make it 7-6. Then they had another touchdown to a different tight end to make it 14-6. Then there must have been a field goal or something in there. Because then what happened was there was 40 seconds, I believe, or something like that, seconds remaining in the first half. Vikings had the ball on like the Detroit 40 or 45, it was like the 45-yard line. There was like 40 seconds left, I thought, something like that. And the Lions still had at least a timeout or 2 in their pocket. 4th and 10. Mike Zimmer goes for it. On the Detroit 45, the Lions still have timeouts, 40 seconds or something like that, and they're going for it on a 4th and 10. What are you doing? Who thought of this? Sorry. Who thought of this? Whose idea is it to go for a 4th and 10? When, of course, if you don't convert, which I'd say there was like a 75% chance they weren't going to convert, of course the Lions are going to go downfield and score a field goal or touchdown, and then they proceeded to, I believe, kick a field goal. So it's like there was a 25% chance that they were going to convert, and then if you don't convert, of course they're going to go down and score. You haven't been able to stop their offense the whole first half. So if they would have just been way better off just punting the ball, pinning them deep, and then giving them then they'd have 30 seconds, but from like way back. They basically, what I'm trying to say is field position was an important point right there. They gave them the ball basically at midfield, and they basically just gave them points. Where if they would have punted it, I know the ball would have been at they still would have given the ball away, but it would have been at maybe the 15-yard line or inside the 10 if you have a nice punt. They're not going to be able to go down likely. It's a lot harder to go down and score with not that much time when you're down at your own 10-yard line, but it's really easy to do that when you're at midfield. So that was an awful choice. Then in the second half, eventually the Minnesota Vikings scored their first touchdown. I believe it was the Alexander Madison one. So then at that point, so they were down 20-6. Then they were down 20-9 because they kicked a field goal after halftime. And then they scored a touchdown to make it 20-15. And Mike Zimmer decides to go for 2 to make it 20-17, a 3-point game, which I see where he's coming from, but it's still a terrible choice. I don't know if you guys know who Purple for the Win podcast is on YouTube, Purple FTW. I watch him. He has a lot of interesting takes on the Vikings, big Vikings fan. He always iterates on his channel, and I agree with it. Don't go for 2 points unless you have to. Otherwise, if you don't convert, you're going to be chasing points the rest of the game. And that is exactly what happened to the Minnesota Vikings. Mike Zimmer decides to go for 2 to make it a 3-point game when it is unnecessary. They don't convert, and wow, now you're down 20-15 when you could be down by 4, which it doesn't seem like a big deal, but later in the game it becomes a big deal. Later, the Vikings score another touchdown. I don't remember what the score was at the time, but I remember they were down by 2 and they were trying to tie the game, which I respect them trying to tie the game. I do respect that, going for 2 to tie the game. But what I don't respect is the fact that this could have been prevented if they would have just kicked the extra point earlier, and now your team would be only down by 1, so all you have to do is kick the extra point, and just like that you're tied. But instead, because of his awful choice earlier, he goes for 2 again, and again they don't convert, and now his team's down by 2 points when the game could be tied. And now they're chasing points like we talked about. Then, later in the game, the Vikings drive downfield at the end of the game, score a touchdown, Justin Jefferson. The team is now up at this point 27-23. Okay, so now they're up 27-23, I believe. And they decide to go for 2 again to make it 29-23, make it a 7-point game. And again, I respect them doing that. But what I don't respect is that, again, this could have been easily preventable if they would have gone for the extra point the first time, and if they would have gone for the extra point the second time, then they already would be up by 7. All they'd have to do is kick the then it wouldn't matter. Let's see, if they kicked the extra point twice, then the game already would have been... Let's think. They already would have been up by 7 if they would have made the extra point the first 2 times. So then if they go for the extra point, then they're up by 8. And it's unnecessary. I believe my math was right, but it might not be. So again, 3 times they went for it on 4th down, or not 4th down. 3 times they went for 2-point conversions, and it was unnecessary. Well, really one of them was unnecessary, but because the first one was unnecessary, that caused problems later in the game, because now the team is chasing points, and you can't do that. And who does that fall back on? Whoever optioned for them to go for 2, which is Mike Zimmer. Again, don't go for 2 unless you have to, because you're going to turn out like him, and you're going to be chasing points the whole game. And then the Lions, you're playing soft on defense, which I understand. They're playing soft on the last drive because they just don't want to have some long touchdown. I respect that. But then, on the final play of the game, remember, this team could have been up by what? 8? Did I say 8 points or 7? Whatever. This team, if they were up 27-23, they would have been up 30-23. So they would have been up by 7 points if they would have made all 3 extra points. So they could be up by 7 at this point. So then they're playing soft defense. I get it. Final play, 4 seconds left in the game at like the 11-yard line. Lions throw the ball, which we obviously know is going to happen. But Mike Zimmer chooses to have 8 men in coverage and 3 men rushing. So that creates a problem. When you give Jared Goff time, and he's kind of been burning you all day, when you give any quarterback in the NFL time, if you give them enough time, they're going to find the open receiver. And that's exactly what happened. He only rushed 3. He was not able to get pressure soon enough on Jared Goff. So he sat there, he found the open man, threw it, touchdown. Also, I will just comment, obviously Cam Dantzler was playing really soft coverage on it. He was guarding not in a good spot, which I'm frustrated with that too. But I'm also frustrated with the option of 8 men in coverage, 3 men rushing, when all you're doing is basically giving the quarterback time to find the open guy. So instead of rushing the quarterback to make a throw that could be dicey. So there were some awful choices. That is why, in my opinion, this was the worst Mike Zimmer game I've ever seen from him. And I've been a fan of this team since 2015 or 16. First time I remember watching the team was in 2015. And he started as the Vikings coach in 2014. But I remember being a fan in 2015 because I remember the Seattle game in the playoffs. No comment. But Yeah, that was a long time. I've been a fan of this team for years. Look at me now. I'm 17, and now it's 2021. So in 2015, I would have been 10 years old, 11 years old. And yet that was still the worst game I've seen in 6 years of watching him. So many awful choices made in the game. Mike Zimmer needs to go. He is holding this team back. And it's simple as that. A loss tonight, I think, will end his time here. This team's got to move on. Like I talked about one time. I talked about this one time in a video. The Vikings, I know, sure, it's been happy for the past how many years. It's like this team makes the playoffs every other year, which is good, because your team makes the playoffs. That's a good thing. At least you have a coach that can consistently take you to the playoffs. But guess what? Now it's been, 8 years, 7 years that Mike Zimmer's been the coach. And he's been taking us to the playoffs every other year. But the problem is, it's been 7 years. And now is when it's time to take the next step. You can't just keep leading your team to the playoffs and having some upset win in the first round, and then proceeding to lose in the second round. You can't have that happen. You need to take this team up. He's at a point where he needs to take this team to at least the conference championship this year. Because now, we've been at this point for the past how many years? Some years it's been here, but we've been pretty consistently here, and that's cool. But now that it's been this long, now he's got to take it up here. This is where it's time to take the next step. We can't sit here anymore. We got to move up here. And we're not doing this, which is why he's got to go. So it's kind of a long rant, but this is my best way of therapy of football, is sitting in front of a camera, like a video like this, and getting all my feelings out and complaining about Mike Zimmer and about their whole team. So that's one of my best. I encourage you, if you're a football fan and you have frustrations with your team like me, especially the Minnesota Vikings, a great therapeutic way to get it all out is make videos. And that sounds weird, but literally set up a camera, start talking about your team, talk about their game this weekend, and I don't even think about complaining. I just simply do it. I just simply start complaining. All my thoughts in my head are unfiltered. I don't think about what I say. I just go with the flow and let out my emotions and my anger toward the team, toward the coaching, toward the players, everything. So, yeah. That's about it for that. So, yes, Dalvin Cook playing tonight. Team is still injury depleted, but the Vikings were at a really good point. They beat the Chargers. Great passing attack. They beat the Packers. Amazing. We love to beat the Packers. And then they proceeded to play not well at all against the 49ers. And then the team played not well at all against the Lions. The team played pretty good in the second half, but because they dug themselves in such a hole in the first half, they couldn't recover. That's like last year's season. The team started 1-5, and they started 7-9, but because they started so awful at the beginning of the year, they just couldn't recover. And that's honestly a little bit like this year too. So, yeah, that was a big problem, is they started last week, they started awful. And now, or they started the game bad, and then they began to turn it on, but it was too late at that point. They couldn't do anything anymore. So that's why tonight, against the Steelers, at US Bank Stadium, home crowd, Minneapolis, baby, this team has got to get moving fast. We got to use Dalvin Cook, assuming he's good to go here, which it seems like he is. Got to use Justin Jefferson. Got to spread the ball out and make the Steelers overwhelmed right away. If you let Ben Roethlisberger, if you let any of their players get comfortable and you begin losing early in the game, it's not going to bode well. It's not been doing that the whole years. It can't bode well like that. You've got to get the early lead. You've got to show that aggressiveness, which is like the Packer game. That's one thing I liked, is Mike Zimmer was aggressive. That was one of the best games I've actually seen him coach. And now 2 weeks later, he just coached an awful game. But I liked that game because he had the Packers here, and he basically had them the whole game. He had him in a headlock. Except at the very end of the game, Aaron Rodgers almost escaped it, and he just wasn't quite able to get the final snap. But really, for most of that game, he had the Packers in a headlock. But last week, the Lions had Mike Zimmer in a headlock. And so, we got to make sure this week that it does not start with the Steelers putting Mike Zimmer in a headlock. He's got to put them in the headlock. He's got to be the one in front. He's got to be the aggressive one, not being the... He's got to be proactive, not reactive in a situation like this. So, yeah, the Steelers have been... So, now on to the section where I just kind of recap what I talked about and make my picks. Steelers have been a hit-or-miss team the whole year. They have been playing... Some games they've been really good, and some games have been not good, which is a lot like the Vikings. The Vikings have also been very hit-or-miss, but they have Mike Zimmer. And you guys know from the past 20 minutes how much I don't like Mike Zimmer, because I just complained about it for like 20 minutes or something like that. So, the Vikings have to get ahead early. They have to put the foot on the throttle and not take it off. They need to be the aggressor of this game. Hit-or-miss team Steelers, hit-or-miss Vikings. This is really a 50-50 game. For this game, obviously you know I like the Vikings. I like to pick my team. But based on the play of last week, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hopefully I can reverse psychology this game, because obviously I want my team to win, but at least there is a bright spot if they lose. Mike Zimmer could be gone. So really this is a win-lose situation, but also a win-lose situation a different way. The win is they win, and the lose is that Mike Zimmer stays as the head coach for another week. But then there's also the win that he's fired, but the lose is that they lose the game. So there are a couple different ways this game could be looked at, but obviously I have to cheer for the team first and foremost. And if they lose, then I'm cheering for the fire. I hate to pick the Steelers, but I'm going to have to. The Vikings have been so inconsistent this year. Nothing has been working out right. Play calling has been so hit or miss. Like the Packer game, they aired the ball out, they threw everywhere, and it was beautiful. But like there have been some games where they just can't get it going. Kind of like the 49ers game. They just couldn't get it going. So it just didn't work. So that is why, personally, I hate to do it, but I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are just simply the better team. Vikings are the better team on paper. They just can't do it. It's kind of because Mike Zimmer. So obviously, you know I'm going to be cheering for the Minnesota Vikings tonight, and I hope you are too. But if you're not, if you're a Steelers fan, good luck to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like on the video and share it if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully tomorrow. If not, it'll be next week, but hopefully I can make one tomorrow. But we'll just have to see. Like, comment, subscribe, peace. Have a good night. Peace out. Skol Vikings.